Elizabeth Warren says big agriculture companies should be broken up. Storm Lake, Iowa U Democratic presidential contenders Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar expressed support Saturday for strengthening antitrust laws and enforcement to break up big agriculture monopolies. "You've got these giant corporations that are making bigger and bigger profits, and they're putting the squeeze on family farms and small farms," Warren said at the Heartland Forum, which was focused on rural issues. The U.S. Senator from Massachusetts called for breaking up some of the biggest farming corporations so that they not only do not have that kind of economic power, so that they're wiping out competition, so they're taking all the profits for themselves, but also so that they don't have that kind of political power. While supporting an antitrust approach, Klobuchar, a senator and Minnesota Democrat, also proposed putting a fee on corporate mergers to help investigate non-competitive practices. "If we stifle competition through monopolies, we're not just going to bring up the prices for consumers, we're going to stifle entrepreneurship," she said. Targeting monopolies was a key part of the agriculture policy Warren rolled out this week, which included a handful of proposals aimed at helping family farmers compete in a market increasingly saturated by major corporations. Klobuchar and former U.S. Representative John Delaney of Maryland, another White House hopeful who attended the forum, also rolled out rural-focused policies this week. Klobuchar and other White House contenders at the forum were former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro and U.S. Representative Tim Ryan of Ohio, who is considering launching a bid. The attention on agricultural communities and issues is the result of a recognition that Democrats need to do more to win over rural voters, especially in places like Iowa. The state has long, "There needs to be a better connection made between politicians and rural Americans," said Aaron Helly Lehman, the president of Iowa Farmers Union, which hosted the forum and bussed in members from neighboring states to hear the candidates. In the early days of the 2020 Democratic primary, many candidates are focusing on building that connection. Several contenders, "That's a key part of what Democrats need to do to win back rural America," according to Iowa State Representative Mary Gaskill. "You simply show up. There are a lot of people who are hesitant to come out as a Democrat, because they all feel neglected, or abused, or shunned by their neighbor," she said. Gaskill is the only Democratic lawmaker in her area, and represents a red county that went for Trump by more than 20 percentage points in 2016 but one that Barack Obama won by nearly 12 points in 2012. "Now, at least, we might see our neighbors there, that we didn't know they were Democrats," she said. O'Rourke didn't attend Saturday's forum. But his first Iowa, he didn't change much of his message during the swing. O'Rourke still talked about the need for gun control, legal marijuana, and a compassionate immigration program. But his top strategy, "Maybe those ideas you like, maybe you don't, but you will never know if we're not in there communicating," he said. Gillibrand, from New York, recently visited the same swath of eastern Iowa, pitching herself to voters as a candidate who could defeat Trump because she's won in red areas of her state. She, too, neither Gillibrand nor O'Rourke won everyone over. Tom Courtney, O'Rourke didn't, and Gillibrand didn't make a good case for rural Iowa either. Nobody's doing that yet. She was talking. Some of the Heartland Forum attendees were, however, impressed by the candidates' depth of understanding of rural issues and the policies they've proposed to tackle them. Jerry Neal, "What I liked about today was they really were willing to think about what's causing the problem, and how do we change that," she said. Instead of treating, but Matt Russell, a farmer from Lacona, said he wanted the candidates to have included farmers as a key player in some of their proposals to solve the problems confronting rural America. "I was a little bit disappointed that there was a lot of description of the problems in rural America, but there wasn't a lot of talk of where farmers could play a really good role in providing solutions," he said. Russell said he feels that Democrats spend too much money on consultants to help them figure out what strategic policies to promote, and not enough time on actually investing in democratic leadership and organizing at the local level in rural America. And that remains a key. Becky Bryant, a retired teacher who grew up in Storm Lake and comes from a farming family, said even a fresh effort by Democrats to take their message to rural America may fall flat in areas where being Republican is in people's DNA. I waited to change my affiliation till after my father died, because he would have been horrified. I had people asked how Democrats could win over voters like her family. She paused for a long minute. When they don't understand that the tariffs have caused them problems, when they believe that Trump is here biblically, it's a tough road to hoe, she said.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,